Hola mis amigos and welcome back to my channel everyone. Bendiciones para todos ustedes or blessings to you all. Thank you for coming back to my channel, and if you like this content, please don't forget to hit subscribe. Today's video is going to go over some questions that I've been getting frequently in my comments. The first question a lot of people ask me is, what do I do for a living in El Salvador? Well, technically I'm retired because I retired from my government job in Canada and I have a small pension that I'm living off of here in El Salvador. Our goal here to make money over the long run is actually to start up two businesses. Now, one business we started last year when we came to our scouting trip, and that business will be to have a hotel. So once our motel sells in Canada, we'll be able to buy that hotel and we'll be able to run that business. And we have a really awesome business plan for that, involving the girls from the House of Life Mama and Baby Shelter. We hope to be able to offer them many jobs in whatever that business looks like, whether it's just a hotel or a hotel with a restaurant, bar, pool, whatever. There could be a very large resort in the end of this. I don't know until we actually buy something. We hope to offer a lot of jobs for these single moms as well as some childcare. The other business we're starting up here in El Salvador is with two other Salvadorian couples who we met since we've gotten here, and we're going to start up a business and we'll be letting you know more about that once it's all official. There's a lot of bureaucracy here, so once all the government paperwork is done and it's established, then we can tell you more about that. So the other question I get a lot is it true that the job opportunities are quite limited here? And how do the locals survive on salaries even as low as $360 a month or maybe $900 a month if they have a call center job or a more professional job? So yes, lowest salaries here are normal, like $325 to $360 a month. That is the normal minimum wage here. But you have to remember that everything here costs less. The cost of living is lower than if you're going to compare that to, say, Canada. You can't even survive off minimum wage in Canada of $15 an hour. You would never be able to survive on $2 and whatever cents an hour, right? So you have to compare apples with apples. And if you had a minimum wage job like that here, you probably might have a roommate, or you're living with your spouse, or you're still living with mom and dad. You have to think about what your expenses will be. I've seen rent as low as $200 a month here. If you're only making $325 a month or $360 a month and $200 on your rent, that's quite a high proportion. The best way to improve your life here in El Salvador is to have an education. There are many colleges and universities here to get into something more technical. If you have English and you have some technology skills, you can go work at a call center, and they actually do a whole training program for you. And those salaries are about $900 to $1,100 a month. So if you're paying the same $200 for rent, now you're going to be able to, maybe even have money left over at the end of the month. Utilities are much cheaper here. When we got our electric bill, it was $80 a month for a family of 5 living in this 3-bedroom house. If you have a small apartment and it's just you by yourself, your utilities probably won't even be that high. Now, we don't have air conditioning here, so you'd factor that in if you had an apartment with air conditioning. Many locals don't have air conditioning, I have to say that. Also, our water bill was only $3 and something per month. Those things are not even comparable to Canada. You don't even get bills under $10 a month in Canada. That's crazy. So as I said in my previous video, our cost of living is about $1,333 per month for our family of 5 in this 3-bedroom home that we're renting. Even if you rounded that up to maybe $1,500, if we had a car already and we were paying for gas and insurance, it would be a little higher, so probably $1,500 or maybe $1,600 a month USD. You couldn't live off that in Canada. So you have to compare your wages in the country you're in with your living expenses. Living expenses are lower here, so wages are lower here. That's sort of how the two go together. But again, if you want to have a better job in El Salvador, you have to have an education. The best thing to do if you want to come to El Salvador is you either come with a remote job, or you come with a little capital and you, instead of take jobs from locals, you give jobs to locals, like we're going to do. When we start our businesses, we're hoping to employ as many local people here as possible with really good wages. I mean, that's what we're hoping. Let's just hope and pray that our business sells in Canada first so we can do those things. We hope to offer jobs to the single moms from the House of Life Mama and Baby Shelter. And those girls are in that shelter because they're pregnant and abused. And the shelter ages start from 9 years old to 17 years old. And we hope to be able to offer these single moms jobs when they are ready and able to work, and offer them good paying jobs with childcare to really help these girls get ahead in life because they had such a very poor beginning to their lives. The other question we typically get is about our living location. Where do we live in El Salvador? Well, we live a little west of the main city, which is San Salvador. And we're, beside San Salvador is a small town called Santa Tecla. We're about 6 16 kilometers west of Santa Tecla in a town called Lourdes. And people ask if we own or if we rent. Well, right now we're renting until our place sells in Canada, and then we can buy something. And we're going to buy a business, so I don't know if we're going to live at the business like we did in Canada, or if we're going to be living somewhere else and then just running it as a business. Another question we're getting is, how was your transition from moving to Canada to El Salvador? So far, it's good. At first, I thought we needed to live about 1,000 meters above sea level to keep, cooler in the mountains. So where we live now is only 600 meters above sea level. So I was a little bit concerned that we're going to have air conditioning on all the time here or be too unbearable. But that's not the case, actually. I found that just with our fans on and the windows and doors open, we get enough fresh air through here that we don't need to have air conditioning. Actually, at night, lately, especially since sort of the dry season started, we've been having to shut the door at night and turn the fans off because it got too cold, or I have to sit with a blanket around me to stay warm. So that's the other thing. I didn't even think 600 meters would be enough, but it seems to be fine. So dealing with anything government related has been a bit of a challenge, as in you need to have a lot of patience. You need to understand that things are still progressing in this country, and doing things like going to get our temporary residency could take 3 trips to get there, or going to start another business could be multiple trips to different government offices and no one knowing what they have to do or where the paperwork is. And these things, you need to have patience. They can kind of wear you down a little bit if you don't have patience. The other question we're getting is about water and about the water quality in El Salvador. And can you drink the tap water, or should you always have bottled water? Now, from what I understand, in general, you don't drink tap water, because the tap water that's coming from the city could be in places where it's kept too warm, really, because it's a hot country and there's volcanoes and the ground is warm. So you could have risking the chance of getting E. coli. So you'd want to boil your water in that instance. But then the other thing is the water source from the water table. What I understand is in the past there was some really unethical mining practices here, even by countries like Canada, and they came here and they disrupted the water table in such a fashion that toxic elements like arsenic has been introduced to the water table. So in that case, you wouldn't want to drink water that hasn't been filtered. So if you have a home filter system, a lot of people put them in under the kitchen sink, and then you can drink the water coming from the kitchen faucet. I know one couple, they have a whole house outside where they don't have a well, they actually have a big tank. So beside their tank, which is buried in the ground, they have a big pump hose with the pressure tank and all that, but they have a whole filtration system. So before the water enters any part of the house, it's completely filtered, so you could drink water from any tap. So these are some options here. Otherwise, you just buy a bottle of water like we do. A 5-gallon jug of water like we have is $2.85. It lasts us, a family of 5, a day and a half to 2 days. We started a brand new jug of water on Friday, and we only finished it Sunday night. So it just depends on if you already have all your ice cream trays filled, and if all your water bottles are already filled up, it might last you a little bit longer. So the other question we got is about the humidity. And our first trip here last year, when we got out of the airport, it was like a wall just hit you of humidity. It was so hot and humid. And that was our first introduction to El Salvador, but the airport's down closer to the beach, which is closer to sea level, right? So there's humidity and you don't have, the nice cool mountain air to cool you off. So it can be a problem if you live down by the beach. That's what we learned last year. We were here, we would visit the beach 3 different times, and of the 3 times we're like, we cannot live at the beach. We have to live much higher up. However, like I said in the last part, I didn't think we could live at 600 meters above sea level, but it's been fine. It has not been humid here either. The rainy season is now over. I don't think we've had rain for about a week or so now, and it's already December. So what I understand now, we're going to have dry season until April. There is no humidity at all right now. As a matter of fact, when you're driving down the highways, you're getting a lot more dust in the air from the people doing the construction on the hillside, because they're trying to make sure we don't get landslides, and a lot of the dirt's exposed right now and doesn't have grass or plastic covering it, so you're getting a lot of dust. Right now I find the air is very hot and dry out in the sun. Where I'm at now, actually, it's a perfect temperature. I don't know what it is, maybe it's about 20 degrees right now. It's absolutely perfect. I'm not even sweating. Like it's great. And I'm actually in the sort of air shaft of our house, because that's where the best natural light is. Kind of a bit of a convection. The air, warm air is coming and rising up here, going right past me, but I don't really feel a breeze or anything. But it's the best ideal location for light in this house. When it's getting close to the sun going down, this is where I get the best natural light. And as far as the beach goes, we only went there once this year when we got here. And I'm still getting the black sand out of Annika's bathing suit, because that just ground its way in all the fibers of the bathing suit. There's still like speckled with black. It's intense with black sand. This question's about community and culture and how do we build relationships with neighbors in El Salvador. So to be honest, we're absolutely horrible at doing that. I don't know. I met the neighbor on the side of us when we moved in because she was building a wall on the side of our garage. Where the bars were in our garage, she was putting bricks up and then the mortar was falling into our garage. So when we came, we unlocked it and the guy who was doing the wall cleaned it up. But it looked awful on our side, so then our landlord bricked in our side of it. Anyway, that was the only real exchange I had with her. So we are absolutely awful at making friends with our neighbors. Now, other people, that's different. The people who are doing our shipping for a shipping container to come here, we've become great friends with them. And we had a friend here already, and we've had lots of expats that we've been in contact with and making friendships that way. It's much easier, I have to say, if they speak English. Yeah, because I'm still working on my Spanish. That is sort of the biggest barrier now. I would actually love to ask our neighbor who they have to look after their grass because we don't have any equipment. Even on the shipping container, there's no lawnmower or any of that. We probably only need a whippersnipper, but I didn't even pack a whippersnipper. But we have a little bit of grass in the back, a little bit of grass in the front, and it's very, very long now. It needs to be cut, and unless I go out there with a pair of scissors, it's not going to get cut if I can't hire somebody. And I know the neighbor across the road had hired somebody to clean her yard, so I need to work up the courage to go ask her who that was. She might even speak English. I don't even know. See, that's how horrible I am at making friends of my neighbors. However, at the pool, when people hear us speaking English and they speak English, that's been a little bit easier because it's sort of like the opening, oh, where are you from? And so we met some people that way at the pool. Yeah, I guess they're technically our neighbors. They're just not directly around us. Yeah, learning the language is key to building friendships in this country. The other question is about respect and integration. What are some cultural norms or practices that you need to respect while living in El Salvador? So the first thing we learned from our friend is you don't show up at someone's house on a meal time, unless you're invited for the meal, and don't go empty-handed. And I just learned from some friends we just met last week that you never ask people to open presents at a birthday party because they do that in private and not in front of everyone. And mostly probably because not everyone has the same means and resources when they're buying a gift for someone. You don't want to make someone feel embarrassed if your gift was less expensive than the other person's gift. So they open gifts in private. So never go to a birthday party and say, oh, open the gift, open the gift. Don't do that. A faux pas. Don't do that. The next question is about life adjustments. And what was it like living in such a peaceful environment when we got here? To be honest, I was a bit bored. I came from working, 8 hours a day, and then I kind of retired at the end of June, but then we were packing all the time. And so it went from being busy to getting here and, oh my gosh, what do I do with all my spare time? Honestly, my house has never been this clean because I'm finding I'm doing the laundry all the time. There's almost never anything left in the laundry basket. I wash dishes like 3 or 4 times a day. There's nothing left in the sink. I wipe down the counters every day, a couple of times a day. I still don't like cleaning floors. I'm actually looking for a vacuum now because Avianca stole my vacuum. Again, that's another video. Focus, charity, focus. So right now, without having my container here with all my things, it's still a little bit boring because I don't have all my craft supplies, I don't have all my sewing stuff, my fabric and my yarn and all the stuff I packed for the things I would do in my spare time in Canada. I don't have those yet. So I actually focused on YouTube. That's sort of what happened with my spare time. It kind of got directed to making some more videos. And on November 10th, I put out a video that went viral for me. I never had a video have that many views in that short amount of time. And then I put out another video a few days later that went even more viral than the first one. So I was able to actually monetize my YouTube channel. I've had this YouTube channel for 12 years, technically. Since 2018, I've been actively putting videos up. But since we got here, I've been putting more focus and energy into those videos and trying to do a lot more different topics, doing the 5 reasons to move here or, the stuff about, I'm doing my series on living in Canada or having people being told they should live in Canada when probably they shouldn't. I just been focusing my time on that, and it's actually been proven to be more fruitful, and maybe I'll make a few bucks off this channel that can go towards our goals in this country. So even better. Thank you all to my subscribers who came in so quick and fast. I got to my 1,000. I'm almost to 2,000. It's going so fast. I'm just so grateful. I had no idea that it could go that fast. And if you're watching this and you're not a subscriber now, please feel free to subscribe and you'll get notified of my new content because this is sort of my full-time job right now. Until our other businesses get up and running, this is what I've been doing with my spare time. So that's actually helped occupy my time, and who knows, maybe I'll make a couple bucks off it. I was even trying out one of the features, which is to join the channel. I did one of the lower ones. I think it's $1.49 a month if you want to join my channel. Any contributions you make to our channel just help us with our lives here and our future goals of starting our businesses and helping the girls from the House Life Mom and Baby Shelter. That's really our ultimate goal. We came here to give to El Salvador, not to take from El Salvador. So that's truly our focus. And even the other business that we're starting with the couple of Salvadorians that we have made friends with, it's really just women running that company, and it's really women helping women. That's what our goal is. So thank you all so much. The other very large question we're getting is about our shipping company and about moving our shipping container from Canada to El Salvador. So the company we're using, I'll put the website across the screen, but it's the Consultores y Desarrollo. I think I might have pronounced that correctly. .com. So I'll have that website there. I'll also put it in the description below. These guys are amazing. They helped us a lot. And I'm going to do a whole series on the shipping because it is very involved. And I've heard horror stories from everyone else who's had their stuff shipped here. So I'm hoping I don't have to be adding to the horror story pile. I'm hoping even if we do things that were wrong, or if we did things that were wrong because it's already happened, I'm gonna give you the mistakes, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the shipping container experience. I'm hoping there's going to be more good than bad, but we won't know. The date keeps slipping. First it was November, I think 22nd was the first date, and then it was December 1st. Now it's moved to December 16th. So it is outside the port right now. It's the boat circling the port, and they're just waiting to get unloaded. So I'm just waiting for the call. Hopefully it does happen on the 16th. We'll drive out there. We'll pay the taxes, which I'm hoping is un poco. Like, I don't want to have to pay thousands more dollars because it's not a cheap experience. And I have other people tell me their horror stories, so I will be putting those things in our shipping container series as well. Probably going to be like 3 videos on how do you get stuff ready for the shipping container, how do you deal with getting a shipping container company and the process with that, and then the follow-up when you actually get your stuff at the port. So it'll probably be a 3-part series. Another thing is about the culture, lifestyle, and weather. And what's it going to be like being here in December and I look outside and it's sunshine and happiness and not snow, freeze and rain, slush, shoveling, plowing, worried about putting salt down so nobody breaks their neck on the stairs, which is my biggest fear, slipping. And to be honest, I'm really looking forward to spending Christmas Day at the pool. We'll get some, festive drinks. We'll have those at home because you can't drink at the pool. And yeah, we're just going to have a really good time on Christmas here. And considering our container may or may not be arriving around the 16th of December, we have absolutely no Christmas decorations put up because they're all in the container. And I don't even have a tree because I didn't pack the tree. I might try to still get a tree. I don't know if I want to buy decorations for it because I have boxes and boxes and boxes of Christmas decorations. One of the questions that we've been getting is about what visa are we on to come and stay in El Salvador. So we came on a tourist visa, and when you arrive here, you pay $12 for that tourist visa per adult. The kids didn't have to pay that. And then we applied for our temporary residency. Now, in order to apply for temporary residency, what you need to have is criminal background checks. Now, for Canada, we get those from the RCMP, and they had to be what they call apostilles, which that's only done in Toronto in Canada, and 222 Jarvis Street. So they did the apostilles. So I didn't go to Toronto. I sent them away. They said we'd have them in a guaranteed amount of time. I think they said 3 weeks. I didn't get them for 5 weeks. And those criminal background checks, I'm told they're only good for 3 months, but our date was actually May 31st, I think, on the criminal background check. And we didn't get them back to have the apostille stamp till July 5th. So when we went to apply for temporary residency, I thought, oh my gosh, they're already expired if we went by the May date, because we only did it in the end of September, early October. So we were hoping that the July 5th date, working 3 months into the future, would be October 5th. And we actually went before the October 5th. It was the Friday before the October 5th, whatever date that was. And that's when we started it, and we had no issue with it. So I'm just going to say, just be careful with your dates because it's not supposed to be older than 3 months old. What we had to do is get the kids' birth certificates apostilled. Now, 2 of our kids are born in Ontario. I sent those also to Jarvis Street to get those done. For my other son who's born in Quebec, this was way more complicated. They told me I had to get his birth certificate, have a certified copy from a notary. So she had to notarize a certified copy. I sent that off to the Quebec government, and they sent it back just about a couple of weeks before we were to leave. They said, oh, the birth certificate has to be less than 5 years old. Why? You did the birth certificate. You, the Quebec government, made the birth certificate. Yes, it's 10 years old, or 13 years old, whatever it was. Why are you not guaranteeing your own document? Anyway, we never end up getting that apostilled in Canada because we ran out of time. I started to fill the paperwork out and I gave it to my friend. I'd signed it and everything. I said, once I have the birth certificate ordered, I'll get it mailed to your house. Then you could take it. The notary said she would notarize anything for free after that because that was $140. And I just called the embassy here in Canada. I said, would you apostille my son's birth certificate from Quebec? And they said, yeah, sure. $50 Canadian. So I don't know if I would have done those in Canada because I can't remember how much the kids were for the Ontario one, but I somehow think it was $65. Maybe it was only 35. Maybe I need to look up these numbers, but it's $50 to get them apostilled here at the embassy. And yes, they will do them from Quebec, even though Quebec thinks they're not part of Canada. The other thing we had apostilled was our marriage certificate, but they actually did not ask for that. So that was a waste of my money. So when we were going through the immigration process, what we had to do, we actually asked our friend who was the lawyer, maybe he could help us do the immigration. He said, well, he would look into it. So he actually helped fill out all the forms. I didn't fill out any forms. He filled everything out. I couldn't even tell you where to go get the forms. But the big thing was all of our documents had to be translated. So we took our translated documents and the forms to the immigration office before the October 5th. It was the Friday before the October 5th. And when we went there, they gave us a stack of papers with our originals and their observations of all the translations errors and other things that they thought were wrong. One example is the order that the paperwork had to be translated in. It's time-stamped, and it had to be done in a certain order. She had, well, this is done at 9:15, this is done at 9:30, this is done at 10 o'clock. Well, that 10 o'clock one should have been done before the 9:15 one. So I don't know why that makes any difference at all, but they had to be done in a certain order and it had to be time-stamped in the right way. So this list of observations was taken back to the guy who did the translation, and there was a notary that had to notarize those translations. So they redid the stuff. So the first time we went there, we took everyone with us. We had to get a bigger vehicle. We had to rent a bigger vehicle to fit the 5 of us, plus our 2 friends in it. So we had to seat 7, and we had a driver for that time. And then, so the next time it was just GJ and I went with our 2 friends. And this time the person didn't speak English, so our friend came in and did the translation. And there was something wrong with Annika's and Willem's birth certificates. Because it's a long legal form birth certificate, there was a little footer at the bottom from Ontario, and they did not translate that little footer. It was like 3 or 4 lines and fine print at the bottom. We had to take those 2 birth certificates back, get those 2 footnotes put on, and then go back again. And this time we did go back with all the kids again this time, so we had to rent a bigger vehicle again to take everyone in the car. And when we got there, because Willem's and Annika's were both from Ontario, they had a little number at the top from the Ontario government, and there was a copy-paste error. They put the same number on both, so Annika's was correct, Willem's was not correct. So while we were there at the Las Cascades Mall, our friend took that document back to the lawyer's office, got it notarized, like translated properly, whatever, notarized, and brought back while we were still there, so we didn't have to make a 4th trip. And at that time, we paid $140 for every application. Now, on the second trip, GJ and I already done our applications. It was $140 for each of us. And then this time we did all 3 kids, $140 per person. So we paid $750 to have our documents translated and the application and all that stuff done. And then we had to pay another $700 for the 5 of us at the immigration office. So that's the total cost. It was $750 for the translation, $700 for the actual application form, which depending on how many people you have, it's $140 per person. And that's what we paid. And then we got an email, and it was in sort of legalese, and we thought we did something wrong. Our lawyer friend thought we did something wrong, and not did something wrong, but that there was something still wrong with the application process, and that we were going to get some other email to tell us what we had to fix. And then instead we just got a call last Friday to say, hey, your cards are ready to be picked up. So it was a little confusing there with the email, because I understood the email was going to be sent to us to say they have received our application, but there was an attachment that said something slightly different. It sort of said, like, you're still on a tourist visa. How I interpret it was, you're still on a tourist visa. Don't construe this email as your temporary residence, and we'll get back to you. How my friend read it was, you're still on a tourist visa. Don't construe this as your temporary residency, and because you did something wrong, we're going to make you do something to fix it. That's how he interpreted it. Anyway, it was a little bit confusing, but it was all done. We're all happy now. So we're here on temporary residence visas now. They're good for a year. And I believe at the end of that year, or just before the end of the year, you go and apply. And I think you can do a 2-year process. And I don't know if that's $140 per year per person, or if it's just $140 per application. And then that time it'll last 2 years. And then after that one, after those 3 years of temporary residency, you can apply for permanent residency. Now, again, I don't know, this could change because this is years down the road and Bukele's made so many changes with the government. That could change, but it's 5 years to get your citizenship right now, how the process works. The last question we have is about schooling our kids here in El Salvador. Now, we have a friend, her name is Jenny Ari. She has the YouTube channel Living Like a Local. She just did a whole thing on the schools of El Salvador. I'll try to put that link in the description below because you should definitely research that. If you want to come here, they do relocation tours. So she'd be the perfect one to talk to about that because she has a lot more experience than us. I will do something in the future on homeschooling with other homeschoolers. I still have a lot of questions about the homeschooling aspect too, because what I understand from the school system here, high school only goes to grade 11, and one of my sons is in grade 10. So we decided to homeschool our kids this year because it is legal in El Salvador, and we have done it before. And again, I have all this free time, so why not? What we're doing now, we do a Bible study in the morning, and then we do that. It's not a certain amount of time. It's usually by how long the chapter is in the part of the book we're reading. We're doing Matthew right now. I think we just did Matthew 23 today. So it depends if I need to break that up into 2 sessions. I usually ask the kids a lot of questions as I'm reading, so it's not just like I'm reading the Bible and then we move on to something else. No, there's a lot of questions. There's no time frame. It could be 20 minutes, it could be half an hour. And then after that, we do a Spanish video lesson. So I just pick stuff off of YouTube. Right now we're doing the language tutor. After that, I don't know if we're going to do more formal. I might get some workbooks or something like that. We might do something more formal. I'm using Duolingo for my own Spanish, as well as doing a lot of translation everywhere and speaking it a lot more than anyone else in my household. We'll put it that way. I'm the official Spanish speaker for the home. That's how I'm learning my Spanish. So I'm trying to use all my knowledge and give it to the children. Right now, we did not decide to put the kids in the school for a couple of reasons. The schools that are near us are quite expensive. One of them was really expensive. It was the 3 kids in school would be more than our rent. And the other one was a little cheaper, but the kids have to take a course from November to December for 1 month before even getting into the school. They also wanted their report cards from Canada apostilled, which I think that's ridiculous. I don't know why that would matter at all. If they're going to have to take some sort of exam or go on a month-long course, I don't know why it matters with the report cards being apostilled. And I didn't even look into doing that through the Canadian Embassy. I'm assuming they would do those too, but that's another $50 per report card. I'm assuming it's the same price as a birth certificate. And the other thing is we're renting here and we have a 6-month lease, because if our place sells in that time and we buy something somewhere else, we're going to move. Maybe. I'm getting tired of moving, to be honest. However, I didn't want to be stuck in a school system here that starts in January and goes to November. If our place sells and our lease is up in February, we're like, okay, we're leaving in February or March, and now you just started school and we're leaving again. So I didn't want to go after moving the kids around too many times. And I figured, you know what, until everything kicks in with money-wise, financial-wise, I'll just do the homeschooling until we know what we're doing. However, I don't know how that works when my son is going into grade 11. If I homeschool him in grade 11, I don't know what happens at the end of that for him to get into university or college or something. So these are questions I still have, so I'm going to be doing more research on that. I would assume next year they're all going to school anyway, first of all, because they learn Spanish, but also for the social aspects of it. And maybe even if they get into the Americanized school system, they might start school next August. So we'll see. I don't know where we're going to be at that time and what school's closest to us or what's more financially viable. Like I said, Jenny Ari did that video on the school system. She lists a whole bunch of different things about public schools, private schools, American schools, German schools, schools from France, everywhere, and their tuitions and the different things that they lead to. Because what I understood from her video is that it's considered elementary school up to grade 9 here, and high school is just grade 10 and 11. And a public school, most of them only go to grade 9, and they have to go to like a collegio for grades 10 and 11. So I'm still looking into that. Again, it really will depend on what location we're in at the time that our kids are going to go to school. If it's a regular Salvadorian public high school, then we don't have to worry about that until next January. If it's going to be a private Americanized school and it starts in August, we'll have to worry about that in August. I know right now those schools can be very, very pricey. So I don't necessarily feel like that's the value for our money, because I don't know, the world's changing and university used to be a really, really big deal. I think now if you just have any sort of college or technical education, that's really beneficial. Or who knows, maybe the businesses that we're going to be running, our kids just work the businesses and that's where they get their income in the future. Maybe university or college isn't that big a deal. But my daughter did want to be a vet up until we went to Chivo Pets yesterday, and she saw them trying to draw blood from the cat. For the blood test, she's decided maybe a veterinarian is not what she wants to do, but she would like to own the vet clinic and hire the veterinarians to do the jobs. So that's getting it from her entrepreneurial mom, I guess. So I hope this was informative for anyone who's looking to move to El Salvador, or maybe just want to compare your experiences to mine if you've already moved to El Salvador. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. Like I said, I read all the comments. I try to reply to everyone. And if I can't get those replies in, I'll do videos like this. I just really love doing YouTube now. It's sort of become my passion. I'm really happy for what's happened with the growth of my channel. Thank you all to those who have subscribed. And if you like the content, please do subscribe and press like on the video. That really helps the algorithm to get my video out to more people. Thank you so much for all that you've done for my family. God bless.
Don't forget to hit the like button.